Нині збираємось на прикре відмічення 4-ї річниці нападу Російської Федерації на нашу батьківщину Україну. 4 роки назад почалась повномасштабна боротьба за незалежність та майбутність української держави. Це не нова війна, та лише продовження агресії путінської Росії з 2014 року та багатостолітньої боротьби проти Московської Орди, котра не тільки бажає винищити українську державу, але й сам український народ.
O most merciful Lord, send down your grace upon those who turn to you in heaven. We implore you, O merciful God, look with grace upon our soldiers who are abused and suffer in prison and captivity. Remember the widows, the orphans, the disabled and helpless, those who need your mercy and help.
And living in Ukraine and speaking to Ukrainians every single day, they are exhausted by that word. Because resilience has become a compliment that's been used by people who don't want to make hard decisions. It's basically a way to admire suffering from a distance. And as a journalist, I deeply respect Clarissa Ward. She's amazing, and she spoke about this yesterday, and she shared an amazing analogy. And she said, imagine watching someone drown from a distance. They're fighting, they're still thrashing, they're staying alive. And instead of pulling them out of the water, they say, wow, look how resilient they are. Resilience doesn't stop a war. Resilience doesn't intercept missiles. And resilience doesn't cut funding to the aggressor. Support is what does that. And that's what Ukraine needs now more than ever.
February 24th will mark 4 years since the beginning of Russia's brutal invasion of Ukraine. The Ukrainian people have been outmanned and outgunned, but they've shown tremendous courage in defending their freedom and defending their homeland. But as one of our earlier speakers said, resilience and courage is not enough. Canada has been a global leader in supporting Ukraine since 2022. And for me, there are 2 reasons that we must support Ukraine and that Canada supports Ukraine. The first is that it is the right thing to do. It is the moral thing to do. Vladimir Putin is bombing civilians and destroying power grids to try to freeze Ukrainians into submission as we speak. We must support the Ukrainian people. The second reason is because it's the right thing for Canada. Because Ukraine's victory is vital to Canada's security, to our security. Because if Russia wins, it is not going to stop at Ukraine.
We gather not only in solidarity, we gather in conviction. Conviction that sovereignty matters, that democracy matters, that international law matters, and the people of Ukraine matter. As Canada's Minister of Environment and Climate Change, and as a member of the government led by Prime Minister Carney, I want to be clear. Canada stands firmly and unequivocally with Ukraine.
When refugees come here, we welcome our arms by making sure that they have a shelter, a roof over their head, food on the table, making sure that they have eligibility to make a living and have a job, and make sure their young kids have an education. my friends, I can tell you, we will always, always have your backs. We will never, ever relent. And we have to continue the fight against that tyrant, savage Putin. Simple as that. We can never, ever let him get a foot further, and we're going to continue to fight. And I want to thank the federal government for what they've done so far, but we need to stick together. We need to stand united to make sure we win this senseless, terrible war brought on by that savage. Simple as that. Putin, and we're going to continue fighting. You know, I'm proud I'm on the list that I can't go to Russia. I never want to go to Russia. Simple as that.
It has been a brutal winter for people in Ukraine. Not just the cold, though the cold is real and it is deadly, but the constant bombing, the drone attacks in the night, waking up not knowing if your home will still be standing, not knowing if your children are safe. We feel that weight today and we carry it together. There are children right now, 20,000 Ukrainian children who has been kidnapped, taken from their parents, ripped from their homes, their school, their language, their stories. Children who should be learning about the soaring music of Ukraine, its poetry, its art, its history, its heroes. Their future held hostage. That is inhumane, and the world must never forget it, and we must demand their return right now.
Bring them home! Bring them home!
As the brilliant young journalist from Ireland just told us, oil and gas have been the lifeblood of the Russian war machine. And that is because Europeans do not have other options to power their economy. We in Canada have those options. We have 1,300 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. We are the fourth biggest in oil reserves. We must unblock our resources, build pipelines and LNG plants to ship our energy over to Europe, break the European dependence on Putin, and turn those dollars for dictators into paychecks for our people in this country.
To the Government of Canada, to Parliament of Canada, to provincial parliaments and governments and all municipalities, and certainly to the vibrant Ukrainian-Canadian community, from all of us, we are deeply grateful. Your support saves lives. Your leadership strengthens our resilience. Your solidarity sends a powerful message that aggression will never prevail. Ukraine seeks peace more than any country in the world. Ukrainians live with the cost of war every single day. But peace without justice would only invite further aggression in Europe and beyond. Ukraine stands ready to work constructively to ensure a genuinely just, comprehensive and lasting peace. A just and lasting peace must be based on international law, accountability and full respect for Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity.
4 years ago, every NATO general believed that Ukraine would fall in 3 days. But a few months ago, Ukraine participated in NATO defense exercises, and in less than half a day, 10 Ukrainian drone operators took out 17 NATO tanks and 2 NATO brigades.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just returned from the Munich Security Conference, and there I witnessed a very troubling trend. I witnessed that the world is really segregating into 2 distinct groups. One group are those that stand for the rules-based international order, that stand for the UN Charter, that stand for sovereignty and the rule of law and liberty and freedom, and stand with Ukraine. Unfortunately, there's a growing number of countries that are standing with spheres of influence, and that might is right. And what's really important today is we recognize that Canada is standing on the side of the rules-based international order. And it's up to Ukraine, because we know when Ukraine is victorious, then that will guarantee the return of the rules-based international order.